Now to the latest on the crisis in Syria and that ceasefire. The clock is running out with both sides, the Turks and the Kurds, accusing each other of violating the deal. I want to show you images that are just coming in this morning. The Kurds seen here in the streets throwing objects at U.S. troops as they withdraw.
Good morning, Robin. The Pentagon now preparing options for President Trump on whether to leave several hundred American troops in Syria as the bulk of those U.S. forces are being redeployed to Iraq, and the criticism of the president's actions intensifies. Overnight, reports of clashes between Kurdish and Turkish troops in northern Syria as just hours remain in what U.S. officials hailed as a brokered ceasefire. But just moments ago, the Secretary of Defense confirming they are considering leaving more U.S. troops in country.
They are normally rivals, but on Monday, all major news organisations in Australia joined forces, simultaneously protesting restrictions on press freedom by the government. And in Parliament, the opposition, questioning the police commissioner, joined in. TV adverts also highlighted concerns.
The government can raid journalists for reporting the truth if it says you're not allowed to know. It couldn't happen in Australia. It's happening now.
Journalists are worried after police raids in June on the home of one journalist and offices of others who'd run stories on the behaviour of Australian soldiers in Afghanistan. Their work was based on documents leaked illegally, the police said, by whistleblowers. Media executives are concerned that there aren't enough protections in the law to allow journalists a public interest defence when publishing information the government wants to keep secret.
A state of emergency, clashes and curfews in parts of the country. The unrest was sparked by a now suspended increase in metro ticket prices.
I have sent a bill to Congress that will allow us to suspend the metro fare increase until we find a formula that allows us to protect citizens' rights better against sudden or unexpected increases in the exchange rate or in oil prices, which are behind this price hike.
Aside attacks on public transport infrastructure, businesses have been ransacked and supermarkets looted, amid anger over the cost of living generally, rising social inequality and the government's liberal economic policies.
Take a look at what happened in Dallas overnight. Hit so hard by that tornado touching down.
Homes and businesses demolished. And from Illinois to Texas, they are bracing for another possible tornado threat this morning. Marcus Moore is in Texas for us this morning. Good morning, Marcus.
Well, Robin, good morning. It was a rough one here. You can see what this powerful storm did to this van. Several thousand pounds left tossed around. There are trees that have been snapped here, and the roof of that home just behind us, the roof torn away. And this morning, more than 160,000 customers are without power. Overnight, tornadoes striking North Texas.
Oh my God. Look, this is a tornado touching down right now.
I see upward motion, strong upward motion.
Lots of debris flying.
The twisters destroying homes and businesses, tearing apart everything in their path.
In the Philippines, former Police Chief General Oscar Albayalde is now facing criminal charges. He's accused of protecting officers who resold drugs that were confiscated.
The general rose to fame as the chief enforcer of the Philippines' controversial war on drugs. But he was forced to resign last week after reports accused him of intervening in an investigation into a drug raid.
He allegedly stopped 13 officers from being sacked after they resold large amounts of narcotics that were seized. General Albayalde has denied the charges but says that he welcomes an investigation so he can be given due process.
Since President Rodrigo Duterte launched his anti-drug campaign in 2016, thousands of drug suspects have been killed. Human rights groups have criticized police for carrying out summary executions without giving the suspects a chance to defend themselves in a court of law.
China has once again made clear its uncompromising stance towards Taiwan, with its defense minister saying reunification is a national priority which no force can stop.
General Wei Fenghe says resolving the Taiwan question is the longing of all Chinese people. He's warned separatist activities are doomed to fail.
Taiwan has hit back, saying China is a factor of instability that's led to rising regional tensions. And it's accused Beijing of intimidation and criticized any talk of unification by force as impractical wishful thinking.
General Wei's assessment came at the Xiangshan Forum in Beijing, where the growing US-China rivalry was also in focus.
Demolition crews in New Orleans have used a series of controlled explosions to take down 2 construction cranes damaged at the site of the partially collapsed Hard Rock Hotel. The construction project partially collapsed last week, killing 3 workers. The building is at the edge of the city's French Quarter, and authorities say they hoped to demolish the cranes without damaging surrounding historic buildings.
Mokoena's reign of terror finally over. It began in September 2016. He and his accomplices drove around Gauteng in a white Quantum, accosting women and violating them. Mokoena will spend the rest of his life behind bars. Last month, the Palm Ridge High Court found the taxi driver guilty of raping 8 women he had kidnapped and robbed. This morning, the Roodepoort Magistrates Court handed down sentencing for a similar case that occurred last year.
Count 1, the charge of rape. In terms of Section 51, subsection 1 of Act 105 of 1997, the accused sentenced to 1 term of life imprisonment. Count 2, kidnapping. In terms of Section 51, subsection 2C of Act 105 of 1997, he sentenced to 5 years imprisonment.